Hello there, Rhinohorn125, and today I'm going to be doing a first video, on Ash vs. Jason. I'm going to be doing locations today, and me and my brother are going to be talking about it. So, as always, the first location that we want to look at here is the house. The house that we always film at with most of just any video, whether it be the Clone, JW Kills, or our Friday the 13th fan films, or just everything basically. So this will be the location for that. Obviously we're going to be around just pretty much in this entire area. There are some specific spots that we will be showing in this, but yeah, so and I will go over those right now. Okay, so first of all, I want to start right here. I'm not going to spoil much, but it will most likely be a lot in this area here. And do keep in mind, a lot of stuff will be removed. Like, we'll probably be taking this down just so it's not all bright and colorful. Some of the annoying, stupid toys over there from the other kids will be moved out of the frame and stuff. And then we'll obviously be using this area here. Most likely for maybe some of the fight scenes or whatnot. Obviously, a little bit. The garage will be used, as in most of my videos, but used to a fuller and better extent than most. So, here's a garage right now. You know, always sometimes looks different in each one of my videos, but it will be used. Next location I want to go over is the lake, or Crystal Lake as it will be known in the video. We're going to try to stray away from showing too much of things that don't need to be shown, and as I already said, like the toys on the porch, same thing within the house, you know, because I have cousins, and one of them's really young, so she's over here and she has toys, which is kind of a predicament to have to deal with all that crap in the background, but we're going to try to stay away from showing all that, just because it would be annoying. This is somewhat of a making, and then just like the trampoline here in the background, we're going to just try to stay away from that as well. And we will be using the yard, and it will be, you know, mostly used, but not all. But the lake will be a prime thing in the video, especially at some parts, because it does take place on Crystal Lake, and me and my brother will be going over all the details in the story, and we'll be going over the premise, like, I guess the premise isn't the right word to use here, but like what is happening and what you'll expect in the video. It's not just a versus where they walk to each other and start to fight, but we'll go over that more later. Okay, as well as the lake that has obviously been in the background of a lot of my videos, this area over here will probably be used, and some over here, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But the shed will be one of the prime things in the video at one point. And I'm not going to give anything away. Some things are preemptively planned, other things will be just thought up in the time, which is one of the best ways to make our films sometimes. So, yeah, we'll just be using the shed as normal in a lot of our videos, especially the Hooligan and my Clone films, as we normally use. So, nothing going on in there. So, if we come over here, this spot over here will be used. There's another toy. As I said, there's toys just randomly around here sometimes, so those will be moved. And this area here will be a nice spot to be used, sorry about my fingers there, as well as up there on the hill. Now, as of right now, this area here from the hill all the way around and in the entire area of the house is the prime area to stay in, but we may go other places around here. Like across the lake, for instance, is one of the other places that we have planned to use. So, yeah, just wait for the film and you guys will see. Okay, so that is basically most of the filming locations as of right now. Maybe by the time we do this, which we will go over when this will be being filmed later on in this video. But, yeah, as of right now, that is the main locations. So, yeah, here is the next part of this video. Hello there, Rhinohorn125, and today we're going to be doing an update of sorts on the upcoming fan film Ash vs. Jason. I'm Rhinohorn125, and this is
West Craven.
As that is his new YouTube channel. You guys probably know SharkFin13, but that's his new one, so go check it out if you like horror. If you don't, then screw you. But anyway, we're just here to talk about the, I wouldn't say highly anticipated, because I don't think there's that many people anticipating it, but it's something we want to do, and we actually think it'll probably do pretty good on YouTube. Something that hasn't been done on YouTube. What's his name? Did a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash versus Ghostface versus Michael Myers
Trent Duncan.
Yeah, Trent Duncan. And I guess that had
Donuts.
Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, but we're just doing Ash versus Jason, which to me is the perfect villain versus hero type thing, as Ash is a sort of a hero, you know, not a hero Gotham deserves, but the hero Gotham needs. So, yeah. And Wesley's going to talk about his part as Jason.
I've been practicing through many videos as Jason, and lots of help comes from Friday the 13th, the game of all things, because Keen Hodder is the motion capture. I have more experience with Jason costumes now, because I've been doing them for a while, and I've had more ideas and more experience with paints and ways to tear clothes and such. But also, another reason why I think that Ash vs. Jason would be a perfect matchup for a fight is, I don't remember his name, but the director of Jason Goes to Hell, which many people hate because many people hate Jason Goes to Hell, which makes sense why it was a bad movie, because he just came from film school. But enough about that. In his mind, Jason was a Deadite because Pamela Voorhees did some sort of pact with the Necronomicon after Jason's death as to resurrect him, sort of a pact with the devil. And the whole thing that came from that is her death and Jason being brought back, but not as the same person. So that pretty much qualifies Jason as a Deadite, in my opinion.
And I also agree with that Jason would be a Deadite. At first I didn't think it would make sense, but it's the best thing to do. We've had a lot of different plans in this video of how to kill Jason and all, like how Jason's gonna all of a sudden show up. But we figured it out, and I'm not gonna give anything away, but we're gonna just go over the more bigger details and what this is all about, and basically why we wanted to do it. So let's get started. Okay, so for every well-made movie, there's normally a script, or like another intensely well-made movie, Mad Max Fury Road, did not have a script. That is a fun fact for you guys. It didn't have a script. It was entirely storyboarding.
Just like Army of Darkness.
Yeah, it was just completely storyboarding, just nothing else. But just a quick fun fact for you. But anyway, script right here. It's even color-coded. I'm not going to read it, obviously, because that gives things away. But I will just go ahead and go over just some of the... It's just in a flimsy thing here, but... yeah, so when this is done, I'll probably keep it and put it in something, but for right now, in order of appearance, Jeremy Lewis as Ash Williams and Wesley Lewis as Jason Voorhees. And I even put the effects of stuff we're probably going to end up using for it, which isn't really important. So, and then I have this, which you're going to have to take a picture of the video and really zoom in there to be able to see. But, I mean, if you want it spoiled for you a little bit, then just go right ahead and do that crap. But, yeah, so we basically have we don't need to make an entire film type of script where we have to put every little detail, and it's like we're writing a chapter book like they do with the Star Wars movies and all that. But, you know, and we even have notes off to the side, and, you know, we just have to change things up. And we're trying to stay true to the characters. We don't want Ash talking like, you know, just some frickin' 21st century crapper, like he changed his attitude. I want to try to stay true to the character, and he wants to stay true to the character of Jason, not by talking, obviously, or emotion, because Jason doesn't have any of that.
The only real emotion to put into the character is a sort of sedate but angry body language, as Jason has always had. He's always been furious inside.
And while talking about Jason as a character, it is part 7 Jason, just for you guys to know that. I'm sure some people have known that when we first came up with the idea, as some of the covers I made and some of the stuff I put on YouTube of it. But that is because that's what version we're going to use, and he's going for the Kane Hodder, mannerisms of Jason, not any other one. So, yeah, that's basically what we're sticking with. And for Ash, it is actually, you may think it might be based off of Ash vs. Evil Dead, but somewhat. But the film, to just go ahead and say, it does take place during 2007, 15 years after Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness took place, which for us, it was in... Army of Darkness was made in 1992, so that means just for our, I guess, whatever, timeline or whatever, that means Evil Dead 2 happened in 1992, and that happened to Ash, so 15 years later, 2007. Pretty sure I remember that. If not, I look like an idiot on YouTube with my math, but who cares?
Also, another continuity is really screwed up in the Friday the 13th franchise, so that means that Friday the 13th Part 6, by that time it would have been the early or the mid-90s, so that does make sense. If Part 7 Jason is going to be the Jason, then it's kind of replacing Part 7, The New Blood, with Ash versus Jason. So it would make sense that if Part 6 would take place in the 90s, because the first movie takes place in 1980, so there's no way Part 6 would be able to be in the 80s still. So it just makes it even more sense.
Yeah, and you guys may have thought this, I'm sure, if you've known about this film being made. We're basically kids. I mean, I'm only 18, he just turned 15. I mean, I just basically turned 15 in July. Or 18. Switch that around there. But, so, 18, 15. You wouldn't think that two people could do this type of thing, and it's not going to be high budgeted. We're working with what we have, and we're doing it to the best of our ability. We have no other people to play any victims or anybody else, so we're using with what we got. And some people might think it's stupid, oh, it's just a couple of kids, one's playing an adult version of Ash, and basically I am, but if you think too much into it like that, then yeah, it's going to be kind of stupid. But you can't, and that we don't, we just kind of think of it, we want to do it, we want to make it good, so we don't think about that. And I'm sure on the comment section there's going to be a lot of criticism, there's going to be a lot of good, but, I don't really care about the criticism. I always delete, comments like that anyway. It doesn't really matter who they're from or if they're kidding or not. I delete them because I don't like that kind of negativity on here. And yeah, so just want to let you guys know about that. And the next thing we will be talking about is basically I'm going to talk more about the character of Ash and then just some more on Jason. Okay, so now to Ash. I did just talk a little bit about him, but now I'm gonna, this is just let this go on record, I guess. Okay, so if you guys watch any of the Evil Dead or Ash vs. Evil Dead, you kind of know Ash, and I'm kind of sticking true to that. So, I have Ash vs. Evil Dead, and I'm going to tie that in with the character in Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 with the one-liners and whatnot, and he also did that in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but he was more one-liners in both of these, more so Army of Darkness. But I'm also basing it off of him from the comics. So, and I haven't really read too many of the comics online. I've looked up, I think I read one of the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comics on there, and I also read one of the Ash vs. the Army of Darkness on there, and I've looked at other things, so I basically have the premise of, kind of how he acts and whatnot, which is basically the same as the movies, but that is how he's based off of. And to talk about the costume, I'm basically just going to wear the normal thing as he wears, brown boots, brown pants, blue button-down shirt, and then I'm going to have the mechanical gauntlet, whatever you want to call it, mechanical hand, gauntlet, robotic hand, but that, and then I'm going to have a leather jacket, and then the shotgun holster. But keep in mind, just so you guys know this, isn't a spoiler, it's going to be a tactical shotgun holster. Reason for this is, by the time it came around to doing this, is an extremely expensive and very hard thing to do. I have no past talents of working with like sewing leather and all that kind of stuff, and there are just way too many specific things you have to get to make it, and you have to match it to your body size. And maybe one day I'll do it, and it's not laziness, it's just time, and it's really not all that important. And to me, let's say, see, the last time he dealt with evil beings, I guess, was in 1992, so Army of Darkness. I'm sure a leather holster maybe could hold up, but I doubt he's gonna keep it that long. But in this, he kept the same shotgun and he kept the chainsaw, because those are more, things that probably don't get destroyed all that easy. So that's basically why. Plus, why not have a tactical shotgun holster? I know it doesn't stay true to the original look, but to me, it works. I mean, even with, especially with a black leather jacket, it works a lot, and plus, it has some slots to put some shotgun shells in, so which I think is really great. But that's basically the style of Ash and the just what he's mainly based off. So it's based off the movies and the comics mixed, the way he acts and looks, and which, I mean, it's me, can't really change my looks, but the costume wise. So that's basically it on that. Now Wesley will be talking about the character of Jason. We just went over him a little bit, but now he's gonna, another put on the record thing of Jason, what he's based off of a little more, and just anything else. So, go ahead.
What I wanted to do with Jason is include lots of, the Kane Hodder aneurysms, of course, but also the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comic books and many of the Jason comic books. I've always...
Mannerisms.
Sorry about that. But Jason in the comics, I've noticed, he's always had this certain fury to him. He's always been a little more driven to destruction, I guess I could say, in the comics. And I've always loved that about the comic book Jason, how people have written him. I don't know if it's the same writer who has written him that way every time, but I absolutely love it. Like in Ash vs. Jason, or Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, I should say, he's just so driven with a fury, and I really want to include that in the character. I just want to really include that. If any of you guys have read the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comics, I'm sure you know what I mean. Any of the Jason comics in general.
One of the best comics, I would have to say. I do not own it. Very hard to get a hold of. I own my two favorite comics of all time, but I do not own that one, which sucks, but yeah.
I also am looking to include a better costume than what you guys have seen last. I remember on my old channel you guys always used to compliment me about my Part 7 costume, and that is nothing compared to what is coming next. I'm very excited to get this done, but I'm not going to rush it. I'm definitely going to go into it with thought and mind of detail, and I'm definitely going to try my hardest to make it accurate to the Part 7 costume that Kane wears in the film.
Keep in mind, as he is making it just like the movie to best of our ability, see, we don't have everything they had. So if you think about the movie and let's say you've watched Part 7 a million times, you just exactly know. Maybe the sleeves are a little bit more ripped up and whatever, but we don't have all this like latex suiting and all that. We just don't have it. So it's going to be exact to the best of our ability, but it's going to be it's going to be really good. And if you guys liked, his Part 7 costume before, which I thought even it holds up now, made it a while ago, and compared to this new one, that one's just going to look like a child's, it's going to be not as good, obviously, but this one's just going to, and he's a lot taller, which if you guys didn't know, also works. Now, when we used to do Friday the 13th, just fan films and stuff, I was taller than him, and it made Jason look like a little pipsqueak. So, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, yeah. Alright, so back on topic, yeah, so now he's taller than me. I wouldn't say like a lot taller, but enough, plus with him wearing boots, and I'm also going to be wearing boots. He'll still be taller than me though, so it actually works. And yeah, so now I'm shorter than him, I'm playing Ash, he's playing Jason. It works.
Another thing I really wanted to incorporate into Jason is better props. Previously, we have used plastic machetes, which do look pretty good on screen. But the plastic, the thickness of it is probably my number one, maybe number two gripe with plastic machete props, or any weapon prop, is it's just too thick, and it just looks fake in most angles. And another thing is the weight of it and the material it's made out of, because if I drop it or I hit something with it, it's going to make a stupid plastic sound, and we're going to have to replace that with very stock-sounding digital effects, which we've done in the past. So I'm planning on getting a real machete and making it, dull, of course, for safety and other things of that matter. And previously, this isn't really a spoiler, but previously I've used a plastic chain for the costume, and this time I'm using a metal chain, which will also be better because in Part 7 you can actually hear the chain rattling when he walks. And
which is intense.
You can on my costume as well, so I'm really going to like that. It's going to be a big part of the costume. I'm definitely excited to get to work on it. I don't have yet all of the materials, but I have enough to pretty much get a basic head start with the shirt and the pants. And the mask may not be exactly like the film. Keep in mind, this is a lower budget thing. I can't really afford like a mask made by Ozeron, for example. He's a hockey mask maker. Fiberglassmasks.com. That's one that he picked up from a friend on Instagram.
Peyton, I actually forget his last name. He actually kind of just disappeared. I don't really know.
Kind of like me.
Yeah. He had his Instagram and he had a lot of stuff, but he wasn't out. Like, he just posted pictures like everybody else. He posted selfies and stuff. And somehow I ended up talking to him and ended up getting a Necronomicon from one of his older, I guess sculpt. I don't really know. It's made of latex,
which may be used in the film.
Yes, we'll see. But he made me this. He asked me, what Jason mask do you want? And this is my favorite Jason mask besides Part 7, I would have to say. For Part 4, it is the shower scene, actually, is what the picture he looked off of. He also looked off of some other things. And I think, he couldn't have done a better job. I would say, for one thing, though, it kind of frightens me, like, putting it on sometimes. It just kind of does this, but it's actually a very pliable thing. Like, you can do this, and it's completely fine, which he actually showed me when he did it. He actually squeezed it all the way to it touching, which he did it, but I just feel like I don't really want to do that. It's too much of a risk, but it's super durable, and it just looks fantastic. I don't really do reviews on masks on my channel, but if you guys want one, I guess I'll do it. Not like you'll be able to get this, but yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, then
that is something I'm very jealous of. I wish I could have a Freddy vs. Jason Hawk of that quality. That's my favorite mask in the series.
Alright, so next what we're going to be talking about is just basically how far we are on each of our costumes. First I'll talk about Ash, and then I'll talk about Jason. Okay, so on to the costumes in progress. So if I were to percent it, I guess, I would have to say that I am maybe 90 or 88% done with the Ash costume. Reason being is because I have the boots, I have the pants, I have a shirt, 2 shirts actually, and I have the chainsaw. But the other thing, I have to work all on the chainsaw. I just actually ordered a Dremel to begin working on it, because I had one, but it's someone else's, so I had to borrow, and now I actually have one, and it comes with blades, so I can work on the chainsaw and make it how I want it. And I'm sure you guys probably already know this, but I did one a while ago. It's actually right over there. I still have it for some reason. And I cut the wire so it couldn't make noise, and it was just all messed up, so I re-got one. It was actually a little bit more expensive than last time. And I'm going to make it just, I guess superb is the word to use. I'm going to make it just precisely as much as I can how it looks in Ash vs. Evil Dead, or Evil Dead 2, whichever one. And when I'm done with that, then I'm basically done. And like I said, I just ordered the holster, and then I'm done. But reason why I say 90 or 88% is because the chainsaw, there's a lot of stuff that I have to do on it, but shouldn't take long, and it won't be hard. Maybe some things might be a little challenging, because I haven't done them before. But, yeah, so very close to being done, and now mostly I'll be talking about his progress on Jason.
For the Jason costume, I would have to say, honestly, that I'm about only 30% out of 100 the way there, because I have nearly everything for it. I just haven't put it together yet, which I will be doing very soon. So when I've started and when I finish the things I'm going to do soon, I will be at 50%, probably 60% actually. There isn't that much to do, but there is a lot to do in each incorporated piece. So keep that in mind, that if you're expecting the film to come out late September, early October, it probably isn't going to happen, because there are still some things we have to work out with the story, small things, and the costume might not be done by then, but it most likely will, and we'll most likely be able to start filming mid-October.
Yeah. Our rate is, I would have to say, whenever we can get it in October, which is probably our fall break, which one thing, last year, our fall breaks were 2 different weeks. We had a week, I had a week off, and I think he had a week off afterwards or before, can't remember, which I hope that doesn't happen again. If not, that will delay a little bit. So we're just going to try to get in whenever we can. We're not going to, which is at our grandma's, is where we are shooting it, as I showed. And, yeah, so we're not going to come over one weekend and do it, and then we want a big time frame where we can work on it whatever day we need and get it done. We're not going to just come over here whenever, and in a little bit we will talk more on story and stuff like that.
Also, more on the setting where we are filming. We really think it is a good place. We can't really go off to New Jersey or Connecticut, which is where most of the Friday the 13th films were filmed. That would be awesome if we could. That would be amazing if we could actually go to one of the filming locations, but I don't think that's happening. But this area is a great area. There's a lake, there's woods, there's lots of trees. That's always a good thing. It's very foresty, lots of dead wood. It's perfect for a filming location for a Friday the 13th film, or even an Evil Dead film. You could put an Evil Dead cabin in the woods, and it would look just like Evil Dead, I think. Another thing we're also going to be incorporating with props in the environment, probably the only one, is we're going to put this in the film somehow. We're going to incorporate it. This is mainly inspired by Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. When Jason's underwater and it says blood spray painted in red over Crystal Lake.
Yeah, and keep in mind, spray paint, I'm sure some idiots will think, it's blood. No, it's freaking spray paint. It's just like in the movie.
A couple of hooligans decided to go by because they've heard the myths and they've spray painted this on the sign.
Myths of Jason.
This is pretty much a mix of that sign and the sign that Marta Kober picks up in Part 2 at the beginning. She picks it up when they realize that the place is Crystal Lake, because it's more of like a slab board instead of a big square or rectangle sign.
Okay, so, while talking about all that, I would like to say that the main thing in this film, just everything, basically. Now, you've seen our, Friday the 13th fan films. Some of them aren't too great, but they're good, like our very first Rise of Jason, which our first one wasn't all that great, but it was okay. I mean, I wouldn't even say it was good now, but it was good for a first, I guess. And then we got better, like the second one was actually like our first good attempt, I think. And ever since then, we've kind of gotten better. Like, we redid Michael vs. Jason, mainly because we got a lot of crap on it, and mainly another one, we actually thought a lot of stuff was screwed up in it.
We're also thinking that we can possibly do another Michael vs. Jason.
But not planned.
I don't really think that that's really much of our concern right now, though that's more of a later thing. We'll probably think about that next year, maybe.
But anyway, take all those films, like whatever ones you think are good of ours, of our fan films that you think you're like, just top notch or whatever, and just take those and like plus 10 or 5, whatever your opinion is, I guess, And that's basically how we're doing this. I'm going to shoot at good movie angles. I'm not just going to have it like me following him and then this and that. And we're going to be shooting at night at one point. And as you saw, we got a spotlight, and I explained a little bit there. So you just know we're doing a little different things than we normally do. There's some other things that we will be doing that we've never done before in any video. And I'm not going to spoil it, but, you know, may know what it is when I'm talking about it, and I think Wesley knows when I'm talking about something we've never done and something we've never even done off camera in our films. And it might seem more extreme, me just saying this, than what it actually is going to be, and I don't want to, like, misinterpret, but it's something a lot different, and hopefully we can get it in. If we don't, I will explain it in a video after it comes out. But, yeah, so there's the sign. In last video, we're just going to be talking about, you know, just some of our last things before we send this video off on the way for you guys to watch. Don't worry, it's dulled. Anyway, we're going to be, well, I'm mainly going to be talking about basically what is the main premise. And before I do that, I'm just going to say why we're doing this, and it should be pretty clear. Pretty big horror fans. Him maybe a little bit more than me. I like more of the classic. I don't really try out new horror movies. I stick with Freddy, Jason, you know, the Evil Dead franchise, Jeepers Creepers. It's basically it right there, and then some others. But, you know, good horror fans. I love Ash. He's one of my favorite movie characters of all time, and Jason his, and I really like Jason a lot. I really like him more than I used to. But, yeah, main premise of this, basically, just explain it quickly. Ash, you know, it's been 15 years, so he's a little jumpy, maybe, a little bit, I would have to say is his type of attitude in this. He will still have the cocky, I'm going to try to do it at my best ability, and no way will I be as good as Bruce Campbell, not even close. But, you know, I'm still going to have the cocky humorousness in it, but at the same time, he's a little, I guess the word would be skittish, because of this thing that happened. I mean, it didn't matter how extreme you are. If something like that happened to you, it would still mess with you a little bit. He's not going to have some psychological problems or anything, but he's going to be on edge, which is why he kept the boomstick.
I know I'd be nervous for a couple of months if I went back to the 13th century for a week.
Yeah, but he's going to keep the boomstick, and he's going to keep the chainsaw, and which is why he will have it in this. Because he didn't entirely let go. And this is not a spoiler, but he will still have the Necronomicon, and I'm not saying if it's going to be interpreted or not, and don't take that as it is, because it's 50-50. It could or it couldn't. So I guess you'll just have to see. But basically, he just wants to get away, you know, he has work and everybody else, so he takes a vacation, basically is what it's going to be. And he's staying at Crystal Lake. I think we called it Resorts, but I think we changed the name.
Rentals.
Yeah, Rentals.
Pretty
it's
much
basically
just a neighborhood in kind of like Camp Forest Green in Part 6.
So we have a neighborhood.
Basically.
There's 3 houses up this way up the hill, and it's actually right there. And then there's this one, and then there's 2 going up this way over here. And you've probably seen the neighborhood pretty good, especially in JMW Kills. If you go watch those. So yeah, basically all around here and around the lake, some around the lake, I would have to say, just for background, you know, details, you can basically just rent out houses or whatever. And so Ash is staying in this one, and, you know, he's just trying to get away from work, and it just so happens it's on Crystal Lake, now called Crystal Lake Rentals. So, or Resorts. I guess Resorts sounds good, but Rentals actually makes more sense.
Resort is more of a vacationing place.
Yeah, like, this is kind of a vacationing place, but you can stay here. And I guess people would think more rentals as people's stuff wouldn't be here, but we don't have the power to just start taking stuff in people's houses and throwing them.
I wish we could.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy. But as I said before, stuff will be made out of the way. But anyway, so Ash comes here, and then just throughout encounters Jason, and then there you have it. Ash versus Jason. That's all I'm going to say right now. So it's basically Ash wants to get away from his normal life of work, comes to what used to be Crystal Lake, now Lake Rentals, or Crystal Lake Rentals, and then him and Ash and Jason, you know, end up fighting. So that's basically the premise, and the story will obviously be revealed when you watch it. And it'd be pretty awesome to get burned onto a CD, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. You know, just for our own entertainment, to have it on DVD would be pretty awesome.
It'd be pretty much illegal to put it on DVD because these are two already licensed characters. We can make a fan film online, but we can't really make profit from it by selling DVDs.
Yeah. And also, talking about something like that, we don't have, like, everything, as we already said. We don't have all this stuff we can just go, like, if we did, his Part 7 costume would already be done, my Ash costume would be done, it'd be done perfectly. I'd probably just buy a chainsaw from a guy that I actually know on Instagram that makes replicas, and he makes a bunch of them, and he sells them for, like, they're pretty expensive, like $200, something like that. They're pretty pricey. I would
probably have one of Sir Brad's Part 7 costumes.
Yeah, which, yeah, so see, we don't have stuff that can do that, but we're making it the best of our ability, like I said, and we don't have other people to be in it, which is the main problem with it, is that we can't have other people in it, but it doesn't hurt the story. The only thing I can't help think of, and why I want to make this so much better and so much different than all our other videos, is because all of our videos are just us two. It's me, or it's Jason, it's me, or it's the hooligan, and then it's me, and then, you know, Wesley, so JW Kills, or it's me and my other selves. You can kind of see what I mean here. It's just me and him, or just me, basically.
If we had more people that cared to be in videos like this, we would probably have a lot more actors. Friday the 13th films would be much better. We would probably work more dedicated with them and having, like, actual creative kills with more than one people, maybe even a premise.
And you might say, oh sure, maybe I can ask some of my friends. I don't really have friends in my school that are dedicated to horror. Now, people that like horror, they'll get into it. But if I were just to ask, let's say, one of my cousins or one of my friends that don't really care about horror, but say yes to me asking them to be in it as a victim, they'd suck at it because
they aren't dedicated.
Yeah, they don't really care about horror, so they wouldn't really know exactly what to do. And you guys might know what I mean, because some things on YouTube are pretty, like, you know, fan films are pretty cheesy and bad acting, even for YouTube. Like, I'm sure our acting isn't spot on, but at least, you know, we try. But some people just completely, like, suck. And I'm sure you guys might think we suck, but alright, it's okay. But, you know, everybody has opinions. So, yeah, so we just, if we even had people, we would at least want them to like horror. Or if they didn't, and they didn't really have to act too much in it, they were just, like, being killed, then that wouldn't be all that bad. But being able to yell and scream and, you know, you're dying for a film is actually a big thing to do, more than people think it is. I at least think, because acting is one thing, which is more of an extreme thing, and then being killed and being able to act it out realistically, it's actually probably pretty hard to do, I would say, to make it realistic. But that's basically all we want to talk about. I'll leave the last few things.
One more thing, this may be exciting for some of you. This isn't 100% to go, so don't get too excited, but part of the premise, we want to try and include a Necronomicon connection somewhere, maybe a connection to Jason, which I'm really excited for, but it's not 100%. We'll still have to figure it out.
As I said,
more storyboarding.
May or may not be implicated in it.
Ash will definitely have the Necronomicon with him, whether it shows it or not. He has it with him behind scenes, whether we actually show it, because Ash always keeps it with him. I don't think he'd trust anyone else with it.
No. Which is kind of funny, because in Ash vs. Evil Dead, he's the one that's caused it all, trying to keep it away from everybody else, and, you know, but then he ends up getting high and causes it. But, yeah. So, basically, that's all we want to talk about. We may have more updates if something goes awry, or just whatever, who knows.
I am going to make sure that I post updates of my Part 7 costume on my channel, West Craven. One thing about it is I just changed the channel name, so you're going to have to search no caps, no space, Sir Darth Count, until I've uploaded enough videos with the name West Craven, because otherwise you're not really going to find it.
It won't load because he just changed the name, so if I were to get on my iPod right now and look up Sir Darth Count, it'd pop up West Craven, and if you look up West Craven, it'll just pop up other people's videos.
The picture is a ghost face mask with a buck knife. That'd be pretty easy to find.
Updates on his costumes, definitely go check those out. and then along those other videos, and subscribe if you like what you see. And then also my channel as well if you like what you see here. And my brother sticks to only main one thing mostly, is horror. Now here on my channel, I do horror, you know, and Super Marvel, DC, I guess, and just other random stuff. So I don't really have a main thing, but if I ever get another YouTube, I will mainly dedicate it to not one specific thing, but more stay in a, you know, constant of things, which I actually kind of have been doing with, you know, just short films, reviews, and then the clone, which is like the main 3 things I put on here. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Hopefully this wasn't too long for you guys, but I'm actually gonna put down in the description that this is gonna be a long video, so I guess you won't really see that if you didn't read it or you didn't get to the end of the video. But so yeah, you know, it's a update, and we will have more of these, as I said. So like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Like and comment and subscribe to his channel. Like his videos, and you know, comment on whatever videos you want to comment on, I guess, to get to that. But yeah, we're just gonna end it right there, and I bid you an adieu, is the way that I think you say that.
Wait.
Like this.
Wait.
I think balls.
Alright, we got this. Seriously.
Wait.
Start.
Wait. Hi.
Just do it. We can clip the beginning out. Just say of Ash versus Jason. Why? Oh.